Grace Mondlana. Unjani
Hi,
sis?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. First of all, let me thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. But before we get to anything else, we need to introduce you to the people.
Of
Ngubani.
course. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
So my name is Grace,
Mm-hmm.
but I prefer being called Zandile, actually.
Does your family call you Zandile?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it depends on who's calling me. So
Uh-huh.
it's my dad, he calls me Nzako.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's my grandmother or my maternal family, they call me Zandile.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else knows me as Grace.
Mm.
Yeah.
So who is Grace? Who is the Grace that people do not see on social media? Who is the Grace before social media created Grace?
I was actually a national athlete, fun fact.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me guess. Netball?
No.
Oh,
Like
okay.
an actual track and field athlete.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that would be like my forever. Like I thought I'd be this big South African star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I loved it with my whole life.
And how do you get into content creation?
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I stopped training. Like I literally just stopped working out and focused on school.
Mm-hmm.
And with being indoors, all I had was my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved recording like little things. Like my eye could only see aesthetics.
Mm,
So I was like, okay, let's give this a try.
really?
I didn't know what I was doing, of course.
But what was the first thing that made you think, okay, this is a path that I could walk?
My first brand.
Your first
My
brand?
first brand deal.
How did
yeah.
that happen?
I used to create, I still do self-care videos. So there's a Sunday like shower routine or bath routine, and this bubble bath brand reached out to me and they were paying me. So I was like, okay, this is money.
And you were a student at the time?
I was in third year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you receive that opportunity? What was going through your mind?
Well, I honestly thought it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it as the more I put in, the more they're gonna come.
Mhm.
Just thought, okay, they were looking for someone and I was available, so let's go for it.
And how's your life been since Grace Mondlana was created on
Created.
socials?
It has changed.
Really?
I think I went through a lot of like self-discovery
Mhm.
because I don't think I knew myself before that. I was living under the sun, if I could say that. I was creating but not consuming content.
Mm.
So hence I'd say the social media fame, if I could put it that way, because I have quite a following.
Mhm.
It didn't affect me anyhow, but it helped me in discovering myself. So
Mm.
I didn't know I could speak.
Wow, really?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. Nah, if you told me to stand up and speak, I'd just be like, what are you doing? But the camera, like, there's nobody around me, so the camera made me comfortable. So
Mm.
I've learned that I can actually speak. I'm good at speaking. Like, I can speak. I'm going to speak right now.
And the Grace that people see on social media, is it the Zandile that your family knows?
Of course, it is the same.
Really?
It is.
But then the Zandile that they know is a shy Zandile that does not
Oh,
like
yeah.
talking. So
Yeah.
how do you merge those two personalities together?
I think in front of my family, I talk. Like, I just speak my mind and everything. But in front of people, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But these are my virtual besties. Like, it's virtual. It's all like virtual love. It's not something tangible. So I can't be scared of something I can't touch.
Ooh,
They're not
wow.
gonna beat me up.
Mhm.
They no.
And what do you think is your impression that people have of you that might not be
True.
accurate to
Accurate.
reality?
It's reality.
Yeah.
My life is not perfect.
And people might think it is, right?
Yeah. People used to think that my family is rich
Ooh, okay.
based off the things that I had in varsity and things I
Mhm.
would do, places I would go to, things I could afford. So it's only reasonable that they thought like that because in
Mhm.
varsity, who has like that kind of money?
And what was your upbringing like?
My upbringing was comfortable, I'd say,
Mhm.
because I had everything that I needed.
Mhm.
I grew up with both my parents separated like at a very young age. I think I was probably 5. I still have a vivid memory of like crying for my dad when my mom wanted to take me with her. So I was comfortable. I'm not gonna lie and say I wasn't. I had everything that I wanted.
Mhm.
If I didn't get it, it was like probably extreme and stupid. But I had like everything that a kid needed.
Yeah.
So I grew up with my grandmother because my parents went like they separate ways. I grew up with my grandmother, and I'd cook and clean. things I do now, I did not for my grandmother. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, like, my question that I want to get to the core of it is, ngubani uGrace kahle kahle? Like, that's what I want to get to, because as much as millions of people see on social media every day, I do not think those people have an idea of who you really are, you know? I think social media has the power of painting a perfect picture, if that's the right word, but they do not see the behind the scenes on, you know, the moments that you do not feel like Grace Mondlana, when you feel like when you feel like Zand, you know. How do you think people see you under that lens of social media? Beyond them thinking that you were rich as a student or whatever, but just generally, how do you think you are perceived?
Honestly, I don't think I can control how people perceive me. Well, I can to an extent of what I give to them. They can perceive me through that. If I, of course, show off a lavish lifestyle, I have money. But I think with what I've shown now, it's honestly who I am. I don't think there's anything else that I'd say they don't know beyond that. But with who I am, I think there's limits to this. You know, I can't be now showing you like who I really, really am, because I don't have privacy now. Can I have like something to myself? So I'm very selfless, and I think that has been seen through like my videos of like gifting and everyone that visits me, or when I visit people, like my family, my friends, and that's a very like self-introspection question. Like now I get to just like think of like the things, because time is moving fast when I record and people see me. So
is there a image or a version of Grace that you've curated for your socials? Maybe.
Oh my God, you do.
What would be the thing that would surprise people that they would not think?
I didn't know we are here to reveal the real me.
But what would be the thing that would surprise people? It does not have to be a big thing, but what would be the one thing?
I think it would be that I actually date. Like that I actually have feelings for male species. Like I do see them, you know, because like I'm always like either studying or cleaning or just doing all these home girly kind of things. So I think people would be very surprised if they found out that I'm actually speaking to people like that I'm man. It's shocking to my friends still, like when I tell them I'm talking to this person, or it's always like, are you sure? What are you doing? I'm, like, I'm a big girl, what do you mean? So I think people have this perception of me being like book smart, street smart, but like have nothing to do with that. We'll see that at a later stage, not now. And I don't have to tell you guys that I'm going on a date, or I don't think it's a part of me that I want to keep to myself at least. Yeah.
No, I understand that. And you mentioned something that I want to touch on with regards to giving. And the campaigns that you take part of, I think Domestos comes to mind, are always have some sort of community outreach associated with them. So is that something that happened by chance, or was it something that you deliberately wanted to do with the reach and audience that you have?
Growing up, I'd like give away my old clothes to like orphanages and stuff like that. So I believe the universe works in different ways. Like at least now I have a broader platform where I can, you know, do this at a larger scale. And I'm a teacher by profession, by the way. You didn't mention that. That's so rude of you. So we work closely with schools. So it made sense that they work with me, because I work closely with the learners in the classroom, and I can identify the issues or the like hygiene or sanitation that we don't like have in schools. So it had to happen. We had to work together. Come on. Yeah.
And who initiated that? Was it the campaign that you sought after, or did they come to you?
Oh, they approached me. It was
you.
before I was smart to approach brands that I want to work with, but they approached me.
Really?
Yeah. And I think it's because of the cleaning of the toilets, because I deep clean my house. So I think they were like, oh, this girl plus teaching. So it made sense. So in Domestos, there's different campaigns. There's a campaign for like the purpose of Domestos, and then there's a campaign for like lifestyle creators that it can clean using the missiles aesthetically. But with a part of the other campaign, the purpose one, it's the core creators, like those that are a part or that face of the missiles, I could put it that way, to put out there that this is not just a cleaning brand, you know. It actually gives back to the disadvantaged, you know. Yeah.
I've seen you regularly on your post a morning flight to some far-flung place in South Africa.
That's my life.
And then in the same day, having to catch another flight coming back to Johannesburg. And
crazy.
you were a student on top of that. How do you juggle all of that?
It's not easy, man. I think it's just a matter of how hungry you are. It's not easy. I don't think any person that is comfortable in where they are can do all these things, or not specifically me or the things that I do. Like everyone else works hard out there. But for those that perceive it as Grace has a good life, there's a hard work behind that. So for context, for those that don't know, so I think it was a 7 a.m. flight, and I had an assignment due the next day, and I hadn't completed it, meaning during the flight, it was an hour to Durban, I was typing on my laptop. We got there, and I shot the vlog for the traveling. During the break, I went on my laptop, and I was typing, and I'm not in a position to now nurse myself, be like, this is hard. This is how we do it. Like, it's actually my life today.
You can't feel sorry for yourself.
Exactly. Then when I got home, I submitted my assignment. I posted the vlog, and I was present for the campaign. So we all have 24 hours. Just depends on who's hungrier than the other.
Ooh. And have you always had that hunger, or is it something that you...
I've had... It's a little bit of a story time.
Okay.
I failed my grade 10. Like,
Wow,
I didn't like school.
Really? Grace?
Failed.
Okay, tell us.
So I didn't like school. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I went to a high school, like, up the road at home. I didn't, like, really care about school. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, we went to school because it's school. Like, I didn't understand the need of basic education. So I failed my grade 10, and that year, like, I think I was reaching the peak of my, like, athlete grace. So there were coaches coming to scout learners that can run to take them to a private school. I don't know, I didn't sleep that night. I was in my bedroom like, tomorrow they're coming. We're gonna go to that school. We're gonna go to that school. And they actually took me in. They're like, okay, you have to go to the principal, present my document, FAIL. I failed. The principal is like, what do you mean you want to get into a Model C school with the failed reports? I'm like, trust me, I can do this. Like, I think the environment I was in was shaping, you know, how I saw life and whatever. And I had to redeem, and I had to speak to him. It wasn't a thing of he's giving me time to go think outside. He was like, what are you going to do for me, you know? And I told him, he's like, okay, I'm going to give you a term to redeem yourself. And in that, like, I think it's 3 months a term, I was a top student. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So I just put my mind to it, and I'm like, I mean, I think it should be in everyone, guys. Like, if you want something, you have to work for it.
Definitely.
So I think that really changed my life. Like, that guy or gentleman or principal, for respect purposes, he really, like, changed my life. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow, shout out to that principal.
I wouldn't be here.
Shout out to that
I
principal.
wouldn't be here. Shout out to him.
Is he still around? Are you still in contact with him?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I have no idea if he's even still there, but yeah, I'd give him anything he wants if I come across him.
It's actually appropriate that you got into teaching, because it was a teacher or someone in the profession that actually touched your life to such extent.
Yeah.
And do you think you are going to go into teaching professionally at some point, or is content creation your future, or a hybrid of the two?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. For now, I'm just making sure that I'm safe on both sides. So I'm currently doing my honors. So I'm not teaching in a traditional school. I'm not going to work every day. No, I have my own tutoring company. So I tutor learners that are homeschooling. That is how I keep in touch with my passion and in tune with it. But I should have went to teach exactly like as soon as I graduated. But I didn't actively look for a job. I lied to my parents, and I'm like, I'm not finding a job. But I don't think I'm genuinely applying. Like, I don't apply with an open heart. Like,
why was that?
Money from content.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. The comfortability of creating content and posting and
Working on your own
getting,
schedule.
you get me?
Mhm.
So I was scared. I did it scared. I'm not gonna say I was comfortable and I'm like, decision out in, no. It was scary, but they always say do it scared, jump now, whenever. So I was like, okay, we're gonna create content. It's gonna work for us, and it is working for us. I'm still scared. I don't wanna lie with that question. Like it's shivering me. Like I'm still scared. Like should I? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think things ultimately work out for the
As they
best.
should.
You know, like things work out the way they are supposed to. Because I feel like whenever I speak to high achieving people, of which you are, like really, there is always a casualness to their success. You know, they're not too surprised of where they are, and they might take a moment sometimes to be like, take an appreciation of, okay, depending on where they come from.
That's
they're like,
true.
wow, okay,
That's true.
good on you, and you trust the process even more because you just look at where you are, you're like,
And you see.
So I do not think having a plan that is so thorough that it has, okay, this is step whatever now, like you have to be specific with it. You just have to have enough of an idea of the checkpoints that you've set for yourself, and if you have reached that checkpoint within the time that you're comfortable with, then that's okay. But sometimes I think we have an obsession with a preconceived idea of what success looks like. Because if you had gone into teaching, how many opportunities and milestones would have been delayed because of that? I recently saw the post you posted. Actually, I saw it from other people who reposted it, that you had somehow managed to gain an extra 80,000 followers in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Like, how does one even do that? What's your secret?
That's crazy.
Kubanlo Gogo, who is doing the things for
At
you.
night. My grandmother rests peacefully at night. Trust me, my grandmother has no business with this. It's a strategy. I don't think it's wise to do anything without a plan or an execution or... I don't think it's gonna work. You can't build a house without a structure, you know. So I don't just post stuff. I don't just be like, "Oh, morning routine." Post. No, I strategize. You know, I look at what's happening on the algorithm or what people are posting, and I don't try too much to be different. It's just effortless. I'm just good like that. I don't have to do much, but I look at what is not being done, and I do it better.
Ooh.
It could be the editing, it could be sounds, like it could be, in one video I use 2 sounds. Not everyone does that. Not everyone thinks of doing that. So before I even shoot a video, I plan it. Like if this is a morning skincare routine, we probably don't need to add a serum. Just wash your face, do this, go to eat and whatever. So I plan my stuff.
And you take out the
I can't
fluff.
emphasize enough on planning, guys. Because you can't expect a video to be so good when you didn't plan the editing. Even AI cannot miraculously have a transition for you. You need to shoot it, then it can edit that for you. So with the 80K in like a month, no, less than a month, like 80K in 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah. Even that sounds crazy, eh?
Like, it's crazy. That's insane. Like, that means daily I get 5,000 followers. Daily. I even switched off my DMs. Organically. No sponsored content. No, just me. Nah, I'm a big deal.
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wow. And what would you say is the one thing that you've achieved that is not easily recognizable, that you are most proud of?
I think it would be having to do stuff for my parents. Like, I don't have to tell my dad to wait 3 months for something. And my dad would do anything for me. Like if he gets paid today and I want this and it's an inconvenience, he would still do it because he knows that it would make my life easy, or it would put me at ease, or I would have access to whatever. So I don't show that part, of course, but it's my parents. Like whenever my parents need something, I show up for them and I make sure that they at least have the necessary needs, because I can't put myself before them, because they had to put me before themselves at some point where they didn't even have to. It was probably silly things that I wanted, but they still like were there for me. So I think it's my parents and my grandmother, of course. That old lady wants expensive things. Yeah,
Girl knows what she likes.
But yeah, yeah, it's that, and having to, I don't want to use the word afford because I don't want to make this about like materialistic things, but I'm able to just sleep peacefully and not think of, because there was a point whereby I was scared of my future. Like I was so obsessed with wanting my future to be perfect, like the perfect job, the perfect partner, like that well-curated life, like finish school, meet sweetheart, kids, forever, happily forever after. I think I used to be so obsessed with that, so bad that I would hold on to like the wrong people, or like not live in the moment because I can't drink this water, tomorrow we gotta drink it up to here. But now, like, tomorrow we'll work out. Because I'm a good person, and the universe always works my way.
And how do you silence that voice in your head that was instilled by the upbringing that most black people in South Africa know of modesty and, of scarcity, and now finding yourself in a position where you can pretty much go wherever you want, you can eat what you want, you can, how do you manage that inner voice of little grace?
Yeah. I still fight it sometimes. Like it's not all the time that I'm always willing to do something freely or easily. So sometimes what's the word? I'm reluctant to do stuff because I have this inner voice saying, we can't do this yet. Or sometimes I feel congratulated too much. I don't want to lie. Sometimes I feel bad. I'm like,
wow,
this is a lot. Because the next thing is 80K in a week. The next thing it's a brand trip. The next thing it's a MacBook. The next thing is, I'm like, this is too much. Like,
is it imposter syndrome?
It is. It's crazy how imposter can come for you even when things are good and they're really happening. So I think it's that. And how I try to like really avoid it is, it's all up to me for things to work out. It's not up to what I think, or I can honestly foresee my future if I put in the work. There's no way on this earth you can put in the work and you don't reap the benefits. It's not going to take the same time as it did for me. It's not going to, because you don't know, people don't know I've been creating content for years. Because you see me now, you would think, oh, good creator. It's impossible that you can start a podcast today and then in 10 years it hasn't, at a mall, someone doesn't see you. Come on, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I think people, we look at the duration of things, like just because I blew up with like a video, it looks like now I'm miraculously making money, and at some point I didn't even know there's money. Imagine I was working for not nothing, now I can see it, but I was working for fun and for the love of it. But I got to a point whereby now it's monetized.
Do what you love and you will never work a day in your life.
Well, that's true, but I thought it would be with teaching. I thought, let me do what I love, and I love teaching so bad. But I think, honestly, let me be honest with you, I think the beginning of the year, I did try to look for a job. But I was so, not full of myself, but I did well in school. Like, I'm very passionate about business studies and the subjects that I teach. So I thought, not that schools would fight for me, but at least I wished to had been given a chance to be interviewed, because I feel like with the CV, it's just a pick and choose whoever you want to bring to the next process, So I wish I had been given that chance. Maybe I could have like proved myself, but at the same time, not to fight it. This was where I'm supposed to be. Had I was meant to be a teacher at this age, I'd be a teacher. I can be a creator now, and I can wake up and be a teacher tomorrow. I still have my qualification. That's what's nice.
But you are a teacher. I see you as a teacher. I mean, I remember when you started your masterclasses, and I think you are on, what, 4th or 5th right now?
5th or 6th, something.
I think it's 5th. Yeah, the 5th. And how's that going?
It's going great, man. Thank you for reminding me of that. Sometimes I forget that I'm a teacher in some way, you know. It's going great, man. It's just crazy to see how people are believing in me and why you shouldn't listen to people when they try to not bring you down, but not see your vision. I told a friend about this, and they were like, but what makes you think people are going to pay so much money for that? And with the pricing, like my masterclasses are 500 rands for like 4 hours. And I was like, this is what would be worth if I can speak to you for that long, giving you free information that it's not accessible. If you DM me and ask me how can I work with a brand, I'm not going to get in detail. I'm going to get in depth because it's a voice note. I've got to go on with my day. But if I give you my undivided attention now, because now I'm taking all my experience, all the things that I've learned, and I'm giving them to you to succeed as I am doing. So that's why I have that segment right now. And I've had like 60 creators for each. And it's been crazy to see how people are believing in. Like, you guys really think I can just talk and give you guys stuff? Must be nice to be me.
But wow. I look at the educational systems of high achieving nations like Singapore, South Korea, Norway, and there is such a combination of technology along with the classroom in those countries that I don't think South Africa has caught up with. So I call you a teacher because you are making use of modern tools for your teaching. It's not a blackboard, it's a link. Click. Yeah, so I do see you as a teacher, and I see the people that follow you as your students. And a part of that, unfortunately, is sometimes the expectation of the student is that the teacher has figured it out, that the teacher has no doubts or issues, that the teacher knows what's best. And one of the reasons I wanted you to be on the podcast is because as a young woman in South Africa, there are so many challenges against you. And when you see someone that looks like you, that talks like you, that has a similar background as you, who is doing something that you look up to, it changes your idea of yourself. You don't need to sit down with each and every one of your followers or, have an in-depth talk with them, but just you being you and living your life the way that you are, making the very hard look very simple by sticking to the basics, is a lesson. Doing the things that others overlook and doing them very well is a lesson. And it comes off in your content. It comes off in how you carry yourself, Grace on IG is Grace that I'm looking at now. I don't see too much of a discord between.
I wouldn't mean too much.
But then I can only see you for 1 minute.
Okay, that's true.
I can only see you for 30 seconds, whatever it might be on a post. And when you actually take time to sit down and talk to someone, that's when you actually be like, oh, okay, I see how your mind works.
Yeah, that's how you think.
Yeah.
These are your views.
So what is the future looking like for you in your mind? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, honestly, I am going to utilize this degree in a totally different way. Like, I am going to be like Grace the teacher, but not in the traditional sense. That's where I see myself. And with the talking that I'm doing, it's going to take me places. Let's see me broadcasting some news, I'd love to get into that. I think I can, it also helped me in like articulating myself, like my vocabulary, because of course I can now always speak like in basic words, gotta look at the dictionary and like, okay, that's what you mean. So I still have a dream of lecturing though. I still wish to lecture. A school context is not gonna work for me, like the grade 10 to 12 kids. I don't think it's gonna work for me. Considering the space that I'm in now, I don't think I'd be comfortable in like the learners knowing my life like that. But in varsity, it's like adults. They're gonna get in class and want to study the module. They don't care about. But with those ones, it's still, man, we still young. Shut up, you know. So I see myself lecturing. I see myself, you know, being a star, and could be news or it could be anything. But I know I'm gonna speak. Like I love speaking. And you said 5 years. I should have a kid by then.
By 28.
Were you revealing my age?
It's on your profile.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's on your
yeah, by
profile.
28, I should have a kid and a husband by 28. I would love to start a family like while I'm very young because I know what I want. Like I know what I want. So yeah, that's it.
You saying I should? That surprises me.
Oh no, you
That's
caught me over there.
That surprises me because what we want and what happens,
It's not always the
you know,
same.
yeah.
What I desire, Edu, is to have. Am I phrasing it right?
Yeah.
What I desire, it should happen. I'm pretty it does, but I don't want to 28. Now by 26, I'm running around looking for a guy. Like, hi, my name is Grace. Then I get paranoid when it's 27. You know.
And sorry to cut you off, but then, how has Grace, the influencer, influenced your love life, your relationships? How? Because I know there is a natural disposition in our cultures where the man is seen as the provider.
Absolutely.
And when you're a young woman that is very independent and really does not need a provider, that energy and men of your age still being in that process of becoming, you know, how do you manage that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I come across as this is my assumption. I haven't been told. I'm assuming. I come across as very serious. Like if you DM me, I'm gonna be like booty. Booty. Because most of my friends, like, of course, they ask, like, I'm sure you get like so many DMs, and I'm like, where? All I do is clean toilets and stuff. I don't show bums, you know. Not to say those that show bums get DMs, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I don't show much of stuff that you could lust and actually like reach out to me. But as for like men my age, it's not gonna work. I can come across as masculine.
What makes you say that? You're not submissive.
I am, but I'm saying this in terms of being able to say, hey. Like, I feel like I look like that because I don't get that. Like, I don't get men DMing me and stuff like that. Not that I want to. Like, no, I'd rather meet someone, like, naturally or somehow. But even if it happens over the games, I don't mind. But I feel like I'm perceived like serious, or it's social media, man. People go for stuff that can make them lust. Like if you can look at this person, you're like, this can be my girl. Like, you know, like do maybe like physique or whatever it is. Yeah. But did you say how do I feel like it influences my love life, whatever? Well, I've been in a relationship since I've been a creator, but it has nothing to do with like my social media. Like, I don't even show a thing. Like, you could be next to me, but you're gonna see me because this is what's mine. This is what I must keep to myself. Okay, I don't mind like showing that I have one to show that they like respect me. You can't go to like past this boundary. But as to having like a relationship content kind of thing, that's not gonna make me money.
But what I'm interested in is the dynamic in those relationships.
Yeah.
You know, because as we've said, there is an image that people have of grace on socials, and then there is the reality of grace on socials. And part of that image that people have of grace on socials is the independent grace. That, you know. So then how does that influence your relationships?
Well, I'd say I'd refer to one relationship, honestly. And are we talking relationships, romantic ones?
I'm not speaking specific about ones.
Romantic.
Yeah.
Not romantic.
Romantic relationships.
Romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Okay. I see where you're coming from now. I get it now. I remember going on a date, and this guy expects me to pay. Because my job, you can see my job. You can see when I work. It's written paid partnership. You can see that I'm working. And he was like my age. And it was that perception of, you got more money than me. And I was like, never again am I hanging around with my age mates.
Wow.
Stop.
What if the guy is in his soft guy era? Drizzle?
Soft guy era my age.
Why? How old must you be to get in your soft guy era?
I mean, I'm 23.
Yeah.
And let's say he's 23 too. Soft life era, that's like your parents' money. Am I lying? Am I lying? Tell me if I'm lying. If you're my age, if you take yourself back to 23, ne? And you are dating me, right? What are you doing at 23?
Eating McDonald's. That's all I could afford.
You eating McDonald's, right? I have my own apartment. Yeah, I'm soon to drive maybe. I eat McDonald's as a takeout, not as a dinner spot. I can do this and that, and I don't think you're gonna practice your masculinity well. Do you think so? I'll shadow your ego and stuff like that. So I think I'm 23, but I can't be dating my age mates right now. And I'm just being realistic. I know there are, okay, let me say I know, but ideally I think there would be a guy my age and, on the same level as me.
Emotional intelligence.
Emotionally, yes, thank you. Emotional intelligence. This has nothing to do with finance, guys. I could lose a hand and stop being a creator tomorrow and I'd lose my job. But I'm just speaking of how we grow. We mature more faster than you guys. And it's unlikely, honestly, it's like the probability is like so unlikely that I find a man my age. Those people are still talking about like serious stuff. Like, you are talking about, come on. Like, can we not talk about, I don't know, your values, like, stuff like that. So imagine, on a date and you're asking someone a question like, Grace, come on. It's like, right. It's crazy.
Oh, shame, man.
It's crazy.
I do recognize there is an emotional intelligence gap between young men and women.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it is overstated, the emotional intelligence of young girls as opposed to their peers. But what I think is understated is there is a natural need or an evolutionary need for a woman to be with a man that understands that he is essentially supposed to be a provider.
Yes.
Let's take.
I believe in that. Trust me.
Yeah, like let's take.
A man should be a provider.
Let's take humans in biblical times. Before you could go to Checkers to get whatever you want, or order on
We're
Woolies.
taking that back.
Yeah, there was a point that you knew that you would be almost incapable of protecting or providing for yourself for 6 to 9 months because you're pregnant, you're carrying a child. Yes. And thousands of years of humans having evolved cultures around that understanding has created a need for the man to be in a position that he can provide. Yeah. In the 21st century, that just means comfort. There is... Honestly, it just means comfort. It means comfort, and I mean comfort in the sense of security. Yeah. Am I secure with you? You know, you cannot expect a lady making six figures to downgrade her lifestyle and get herself a grootman that works, you know, at the local grocery stores for minimum wage, because at some point that lady is gonna get pregnant, and the grootman might not be able to cover the expenses of the lifestyle of this woman that makes six figures. But now she's bringing his child into this world, and so that is something that I do not think is given enough emphasis. What is given enough emphasis, though, is that emotional side of things, where they say younger men are not as mature as younger women, and I don't agree to that. I really don't agree to that, but I do think there is more expected of girls and women than there is of boys and men, especially boys.
Yeah.
And earlier on in your 20s, that difference is very clear. But the more you move away, the more you are becoming independent as a young man, the more life experiences that you have, and the more life experiences that you have, the greater your maturity and emotional intelligence becomes, you know.
Do you think so generically, I'd say we mature quicker than you guys, like realistically?
Yeah.
Do you, what is it that can make now you distinguishable from you and your peers in terms of emotional intelligence? Do you think it's the environment that you guys are in? Do you think it's a personal choice or a personal retrospection?
I think it's cultural expectations. Women and men are orientated differently. I make the example often that you look at the eldest black woman or the eldest black sibling in any family is usually the linchpin of that family. A family that has a firstborn son who is supposed to be the cornerstone of the family, it's so much easier for the firstborn son to falter along the way, because not a lot was expected of him beyond being the older brother in the playground and all that. But then the older sister becomes the second mother in most families, and because of that cultural expectation of a black woman or a woman in a family, there is an awareness that, hey, I have to grow up a bit quicker than everyone else. And because of that because of that cultural expectation, women tend then to have a greater emotional intelligence.
It does. I have an elder brother, my aunt's son, and we grew up together with my grandmother. He's like 10 years, like probably your age. But if we could see where we are right now, I'd definitely say that was shaped by how we grew up and the things we were being forced to and stuff like that. So that makes absolute sense.
Yeah, I think
he was very comfortable, like, oh boy, what do you want, boy? Grace, do this, do the dishes, da-da-da-da-da. But with him, oh boy, wow, you guys, wow.
Like, I remember
that makes sense, Itu.
I did my first load of laundry when I was in grade 9. And yet
insane.
And yet my older sister, who is 11 years older than me, was doing laundry from like probably 5 or 6. Like, she was already helping around the house.
And I'm sure you didn't have to do it. You had to do it because, like, it was circumstances, like no one was around, whatever. Sometimes you'd be alone, but not because.
Like, I remember that day I came home from school, and we went to school Monday to Friday, but I only had about 3 white shirts. And so at some
we all had that.
So at some point during the week,
why did our parents get us 5
hey,
shirts?
Dude, like, the thing is, you grow up and you understand.
I'm sure that's that. Why?
Because you grow up and you understand that when your parents said they did not have money on payday, they really did not have money on payday. So you should be grateful if you had 2 shirts. you know? But then at least
Right.
you could wash it 2 times a week, you know? So I had 3 shirts that I knew by Wednesday I would have to
You have
do.
to wash.
Yeah, but then at that time, my mom would do them. And then at some point I got home and it was a Wednesday and I had to clean my shirts for Thursday and
Yeah.
Friday. My mom was like, nope, you're doing it. That was the first time I needed to do laundry. Like it was so, and it was by hand. Like it was so
Of
awkward. I'm
course.
like, how do, like usually when she does it, there's that sound.
Yeah, and it's like,
And I was
What
doing
am I
it
doing
like,
wrong?
it was just like here. I'm like, yo. And
Yeah.
my sisters were being domesticated from the moment they could walk around. They were taking
Yeah.
care of us, you know. So how our communities orientate us is very it's very telling about how men and women
Yeah.
become in later years. And I think if we want to change that, we really have to start young, you know, like the most evenly yoked gentlemen that I have in my life are people that grow up in homes where there was no boy or girl chores. Everyone had to pull
everyone
their
had
weight, you know?
Equal.
Yeah,
chores.
and those are the people that I think are the most greatest personalities. You know, they have a bit of everything. They're self-efficient. They know how to cook for themselves. They know how to take care of the place, you know. But then when the expectation culturally is that, especially in African families or homes, when the expectation is that girls are supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and boys are supposed to do X, you're creating problems that are only going to be seen much later in life. So, yeah, that answers your question. But another thing that I want to know, Grace.
What now?
Are you religious?
I am.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you go to church?
No, I don't.
How do you define your faith?
I'm a Christian.
Mm.
But it's said that if you don't go to church, then I've been told that, like, if you don't go to church, your Christianity is 50%. I don't believe that. I'm not going to church because I don't want to, but I used to go to a church at home. Then since I moved to varsity, I don't want to lie, I didn't have that I'll travel home to go to church kind of thing. It was honestly a relieved, because my grandmother used to lock the house.
Yeah.
If you're not going to church, you're going to stay outside until we come back from church.
Yeah.
So I'd say my faith is with him, God, and it's the only thing I've ever known. I don't think I've ever had to have a choice. You know, I grew up in a Christian home, and it wasn't a thing of, I'll pick what I want, I'll do. So it's what I've been raised, you know, you imagine telling my grandmother at 7 that I want to be Muslim, like, wahlanya wena. You watch too much TV now. So it's the only thing I've ever known, and it's the only thing I believe in, and I've seen it in my life, because I believe in whatever faith you have, things will always prevail your way. If you have faith that this will happen, it'll eventually happen. And I don't think if you believe in Allah or in Jesus, they're all gonna happen. It's okay. I think I believe it's Allah, right? I'm saying it right. It's Allah. So there's Jesus and Allah, right? This is Itu, this is Grace. Christian, Muslim, right? Yeah. You look at me like that.
I'm listening.
So I think the faith is in you, right? But it's attached to Jesus.
It's attached to a institution outside of you.
Yes, but it is your thought. It's your brain that says, I have faith that da-da-da-da-da. But now I'm attaching it to this particular thing or person, right? Once that thing prevails, or that you got a job, or you succeed in that, thank you, Jesus. That's my case.
That's your case.
And I rested.
That's an interesting one. It is definitely not the traditional idea of faith, because I'm sure your grandmother.
Let me say that.
And how do you contend with that altered outlook on your faith that you grew up with?
How do I?
How do you contend with this new outlook on your
Yeah.
faith that you grew up with?
Don't say new. You make me feel bad.
I mean, it is new in the sense that black people, at least black people here in South Africa,
Yeah.
we are orientated to a certain understanding or interpretation of scripture.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you cannot go past that interpretation. You know, so the younger generations have a very laxed idea of scriptures. You know, I'll take from here and then
Yeah.
whatever, but then this is not going to be the yardstick of my life. It's just going to be a guide here and
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know?
But I think I resonate with that a lot. I don't think I am like hardcore Christian, but I resonate with a lot of scriptures that I can say, okay, this I can see prevailing in my life. And I mean, I do go to church and watch it virtually when I want to be in the spirit, like when I now feel, okay, I need to do this today. I just turn on TV and like watch live church. And because sometimes I need a push to read the Bible, I'm not going to lie. Like I have the Bible open on my pedestal for when I see it and I'm like, Grace, it's time to read, you know? Or it's like praying as well. I pray on random spots. I can pray in the bathroom. I can pray when I get into the Uber. I can pray when I'm having pizza with you, like now, like you're talking, but I'm praying, you know, because it's that, pray, instant thing. But I do pray when I sleep and I do pray when I wake up. And I think it's just a mood thing for me. Like when I go to sleep, like I go to sleep with a very grateful heart. I try my most not to go to sleep angry or anything. So I do like, okay, I live alone, so of course I talk to myself a lot, but at night it's just what I use to talk to someone, because like someone's not going to judge me. I'm not going to hear your voice even, you know. I just want you to listen to me, and you have a name. Your name is God. And I trust you and I believe.
I like that. I think humans innately have a need to believe in something.
True,
and I've been an atheist my entire life.
For
Well,
real?
not my entire life, because I was raised by black parents, so that cannot be a
impossible.
possibility. But very early on in my youth, I think I was 11 or 12, when I decided I would be an atheist for the rest of my life. And
What? First of all, is your mom a Christian?
very much,
Very much.
very much.
What made you come to the realization of what an atheist is even?
I think my upbringing, you know, growing up in the Eastern Cape with the name that I have, Itumeleng, looking the way that I look in a very black neighborhood. For me personally, I was never aware that that was not normal or expected, you know. And it's only when I was old enough to actually notice people staring, or when people asked me questions, Uguti, where are you from? You know, and the confusion, that I realized my reality is somehow not compatible with the version of reality of other people. And when you realize that from a young age, you then become very introspective about everything around you.
Yeah.
You start to question what else is not expected, or what is expected, and why are certain things expected.
Yeah.
And that curiosity led me to be very questionable about religion. And so when I discovered other religions outside of the religion that I was raised in, the natural question is, okay, who's right then? You know?
What's an atheist for people that don't know?
An atheist is someone who does not believe in the existence of a deity outside of reality. And so there is the term atheist, who believes that there is a higher power but does not define that higher power as being this or that. And then there are people that are actively religious. They can be described as being theists, but they believe in Allah or Buddha or Jesus or whatever it might be. As an atheist, you essentially discount the reality or the possibility that there is something beyond this. And over the years, I'm 31 now. Over the years, I've come to appreciate that there probably is a higher power, but it's definitely not a higher power that humans have ever met. I cannot think that in the 14 billion years that the universe has been around, that the stories that we started telling 2,000 years ago are going to encapsulate that. You know, the universe was around for a very long time before we came around. And the stories that were written down 2,000 years ago, somewhere in the Middle East when most people were illiterate, cannot be the definitive truth for me. I'm sorry. That might make other people mad. It's up to you. It's your business. I pray to my Father. I pray to my ancestors. I pray to the feeling and the voice I have inside of me that I listen to in my low and my high moments. You know, I have a deep connection to that. But I do not pray to a deity. I cannot bring myself to imagine how God looks like. I cannot even mention God in the uppercase form of the name because I do not think God is a gender. I do not think God is something that is describable. It is an essence. It's in all of us.
And how do you like maneuver that, like with your mom and?
Oh man, I was lucky. Like I was lucky that I grew up with the mom that I have, or that I grew up with the parents that I have. My dad passed away when I was 4, and my mom is one of the most incredible women I've ever known.
Oh,
like cute. Honestly, one of the most incredible women, because my earliest memories are of my dad and my mom, but then at some point we lost dad and it was just us and mom, and she had to become both our father and our mom. And the way that she did that was really diving deep into her faith. You know, like she sacrificed so much to make sure that we had something. And part of who she is a big believer in identity. You know, I grew up watching, I don't know, you're probably too young for this, but there was a series of films called Cynthia. Cynthia was this cop lady that fought crime and beat up everyone, and my mom my mom was a big fan of that movie series as a kid. So huge feminist that just believed that people should be whoever they want to be. And so when I was as inquisitive as I was as a kid, decided that I was going to be an atheist, fine with that. Actually, it's fine.
And in
with
your
that.
relationships?
It's a hassle. It's a hassle being a black atheist within the South African dating scene is crazy, because religions have shaped so many of our cultural and societal expectations and norms, and so having a black man that does not, identify with those customs and expectations is a struggle, because families have that, black excellence thing associated close with the church. Like you do not appear as a fully formed individual to black parents if you are not church orientated in some way or another. And so I've found that to be a very huge hindrance in my relationship so far, because as much as some might say they're okay with that, when it gets to the core of it, that means I do not care for church weddings. That means I do not care for Sunday service. That means I do not care for memorial.
Go by yourself.
I am...
What did you say? You're saying memorial?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I am very untouched.
So, wait. Your matrimony. What's gonna happen, sir?
I don't know. We can go sign. It's fine. We can go sign.
Because
It's
the
fine.
pastor's gonna say in the name of Jesus, Mr. and Mrs.
That's another thing that I do not think I want a wedding. Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me that people will spend so many rands
Can
on
just
a
family.
1-day event. You
Kim,
know?
just family.
Still though, like spending 100,000 rand or more.
Do they spend that?
Yo,
Ooh, that's crazy.
Like it should be around there. Like, just
Yeah.
based on, I'm 31 and I haven't been to a wedding yet. Didn't even go to my sister's wedding.
Why?
They know me. They know how I am. I would have been miserable there. I love my family. I love my sister, but I would have been miserable at
What do
that
you mean?
event. I'm an introvert. Like, I am so much of an introvert. All these books behind me, I've read those anymore. Like, I am much more comfortable in my own company than I am with anyone.
People.
And my mom is the one person that understands that the most. I wanted to go home for my birthday, and she was like, "No, you don't need to do that." You know, like, she wants to see me, but then she does not want to see me when I feel obliged. You know, like, she wants to see me when I like rock up, like, "Hey, mom," you know. But most people do not get that, and yeah.
Why did you go to the wedding? I still don't know.
When was this, a wedding? I was still a young, rebellious, confused young man, you know.
Well, but you'd go now, right?
Yeah, I would go now. But still, I don't think it changed my relationship with my sister. She knew the type of person that I am.
If I was at the wedding, where were you?
Actually, I was I was in, where was I? The wedding was in the Eastern Cape, and I think I still lived in the Eastern Cape, but then they just knew I wouldn't go.
It was a normal thing.
Yeah.
Everyone in the family was like in one
Yeah.
sport, and you were like
Yeah.
on your phone or whatever.
I was probably working. I skipped my first graduation because I didn't see the point of it. And I only went to my second graduation because my best friend, like, he even gave me his gown. He's like, "Bro, go. Like, just go." You know? And I went, and I didn't even take leave. I was working an afternoon shift that day. So I'm there in the morning with my mom, my sister, and my aunt. They're so excited. I'm like, "Can we get this going, please?"
But you said again, so you did your bachelor, and then you went for your honors.
No, so the first one would have been for national diploma. I didn't go to that one.
In what?
In IT.
Okay.
And then I did a BTech in communication networks. And
Did you go to this one?
yeah, I went
This
to
one you
that
went
one.
to?
I went
Were
to
your
that
best
one.
friend forced you?
Yeah, I went to that one. I don't have a third one.
Okay.
I started my masters and did not finish them.
In what?
AI design and informatics.
Why did you not finish?
The institution was wrong for me.
Okay.
I don't want to mention it. It's in
Of
Cape
course.
Town, but it is one of the most poorly run universities that we have in South Africa. They just made things too much of a hassle. You know, simple things like registration took forever. And coming from Nelson Mandela University,
I wanted to go to that university for some reason.
one of the best universities you can go to in South Africa.
University so
It
bad.
is so well run. It is massive. It is, oh man, it has some of the best lecturers you can
But
ever
the only thing is
have.
because like my high school or primary boyfriend went there. Coming for you, my love. I'm coming for you. Yeah. Like, you know, when you do your research about something that's like far from you. But yeah, that's just like stupid days.
Yeah. So the reason why I didn't finish, I was just too drained from having to deal with the poor administrative side of that institution, and so I just walked away. But I'm planning on heading back to my alma mater, Nelson Mandela University to finish the research portion, but I did the
Yeah.
coursework. But yeah, that's the only reason I didn't do
When?
it. End of this year, I'll register for the second semester.
I'll keep you on your toes. Now I know.
And what's your plan for after honors?
The question is, why am I even doing my honors?
What?
Because sometimes I feel like just living it,
Mm.
you know, and it's not a good idea.
Mhm.
I paid so much money for registration. I'm not gonna say because of that, of course, but my love for learning. I love learning. Like, I love learning. I love problems. Okay, not good problems, not like bad, but I love solving problems. I love thinking critically. I love solving a puzzle because it gets me excited. Feels like an adventure. You know, if you give me a book to put the pages like numbering properly, ooh, that's exciting. But I think it's because of time. I don't think I am managing my time properly.
Mhm.
I do have the time. I can like succeedingly complete my honors with distinction, but the time,
Mm.
it's up to me actually. There's nothing stopping me from doing this, but it's up to me.
Mm. But you have very good time management. I remember when we first met for coffee to discuss you coming on the podcast. I went to the restroom and you were and you were working on an edit in that 5 minutes that I was gone. I'm
Yeah.
like, you do not rest, don't you?
No, I do have. I think I'm just hard on myself in that statement of I don't have time. I do have time. I just choose to use it differently sometimes. Like I love relaxing. As much as I work hard, guys, I love relaxing.
Mm.
I love just like sitting down and not doing anything. But when I work, I work, and when I
Mhm.
don't, I don't. So I do have a very good work ethic.
And what would be your best advice to anyone that wants to follow in your footsteps?
Ooh, that's a good question. Block the voices of like what people think you should do,
Mm.
because as much as it could be even your parents, as much as they think you could be good in something, it is only you in your capacity that you know you can succeed in that. You know, my parents were against me not like working as a teacher or taking content seriously because it's not a like normal thing to do. It's like trying to be a DJ, and you know how typical that is. But I was like to them, I know you're not agreeing to this, but it's gonna work for me.
Mm.
And I'm not gonna say if it doesn't, no, we're not gonna talk about that. It's gonna work for me because I'm putting in the work.
Mm.
You know, just believe in yourself and don't get into specifically content for the money. It's not gonna work. You should do it because you love to create and not because you see Grace now on a podcast and you want to be on. I wouldn't be on this podcast had you do not like seen me as like a great person to be, because I think only the people that are worth being here and have worked their way up can be on this podcast.
Thank you.
So honestly, it's just believing in yourself, being yourself, and people will love you for who you are. Yeah, that's all for me.
And what is the biggest mistake you see in others that have tried to emulate you or other successful content creators?
Their motivation is not intrinsic. Their motivation is not intrinsic. I mean, you can have an eye for aesthetics and whatever, but as long as you don't know why you're doing something, I don't think it's gonna work. You know, I'm doing this because there are little girls out there that need to see this. You know, on social media we see a lot of stuff we don't even sign up for. Like I can just swipe. I deleted Twitter because I was seeing corn unprovoked, and I deleted Twitter because that's not what I'm signing up for. So at least if you get to see me live my life at my age, you can be inspired, because my success is organic. No one is sponsoring my lifestyle, guys. you know, let's put some realistic stuff here. You know, you're not gonna get a Porsche at 23. Like those that have Porsches, good for them, but it's not realistic. You know, we need people that we can look up to. We need people that we can look at and see them today, and in 3 years later, we know how that success came about, because we are real people with real problems and real blackness, whereby we have the minimum we have, and we make it work out there. So I believe I am a suitable candidate for inspiration.
Yes, you are. I agree with that.
Thank you.
Wow, that's you touched on something that I've often thought about a lot, to the motivation of people, because I think, and this applies to everything. Sometimes we get too caught up in the idea of something and not the reality of it.
And not it's true. Like the idea of having a podcast, for example, it's cute. Like working past, like, you do the podcast. But you don't know what goes into having to reach out to Grace and her responding, you know, having to plan out because this is not just the let's sit down and talk. You actually like thought this through, you know. The equipment is not cheap, you know. You had to invest. The investment, you believed in the ROI.
What's the ROI?
Return on investment.
Ooh.
I'm a business studies teacher. Okay? I'm here to show my skill. You know? So it's more than that. So you should. Oh my God, I feel smart.
Very smart.
But yeah, it's that.
And what I've noticed is, and I fell into this trap as well when I was doing my master's, was I got too caught up with the idea of being a master's student and not with the reality of being a master's student, because I would get to a point where, oh yeah, it's a master's, boy, you know?
I have a master's degree.
But then there's an assignment due 5 p.m. or midnight or whatever.
Yeah.
And
you
just
caught me there. That's me. Are you calling me out directly?
But I think it happens to all of us, you know?
It does. I think for me, it's honestly a wake-up thing. Like, I don't think I did my honors I have an honors degree. Like, I have always wanted to get into academia. I have always seen myself as a lecturer, rather. The reason why I am ding is because there's so much going on. Like, I'm catching a flight this time. The next thing, there's so much going on, and I'm here for it. I love it. But it's just, you know, when one goes up, the other one loses a bit of balance, and it's sometimes not in my control. Honestly, sometimes I try my best, and imagine I have a morning routine to shoot when I wake up. I'm tutoring at 10. There's a content meeting at this time. I'm attending to an assignment. My supervisor is emailing me. Later on, there's an event. I'm one. I'm like literally one body, but there's so many things to do. And I think they are possible to juggle and tackle. They are very much possible. And I am capable of doing that. Sometimes we all need like a wake-up call, like just someone to like be like, Grace, stop what you're doing. And that was when I submitted my assignment, like 5 minutes before it was due, and I was panicking. You know, when you're sleepy at 12 p.m., I was awake. Like, I was on my laptop, and I was like, okay, Grace, you need to do better. Like, just stop playing. Like, this is not cute. It's not funny. You need to take it serious. So they released an assignment today, and I was at the salon doing my hair, and I started working on it. Like, this is the girl I know, you know?
So you did an assignment at the salon?
Yeah. That's me. Like, I'm coming back. So while I was at the salon, I was typing. And I feel better. Now I'm going to go to sleep knowing that I started something. I tutored, and I made time for the pod. Today is an example of my daily routine. So in the morning, I shot content for this, like, salons, going to the salon, the process. And then when I got to the salon, I had to tutor. And then I also typed an assignment. And now I'm here. Simple.
But what is that one thing that you think would change anyone's life if they stuck to it?
If they stuck to it?
Yeah. What is the one game-changing trait or piece of advice that you would give to someone who not necessarily wants to go into content creation,
anything.
but just anything that they want to do, what is the one thing?
I think for me it would be consistency.
Mm.
Consistency in things going well, the peak, the low, just consistency. Because myself, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was consistent. And it takes us back to the intrinsic motivation thing. And now I'm at like the peak of my content, but I'm still consistent. I'm not like now, now we can reduce the amount of videos we post. Now it's even crazier. See, the more it goes, like the more I put in the work, that's the more I get the drive to like, okay, now this got it to point B, then we can get to point M by tomorrow. You know, I think for me it's consistency in anything. Like for example, at work, if you are working as an ordinary employee, like on a operational level, and you're consistent in what you do, like your work is good, you get promoted to like a managerial position, I don't think relaxing makes sense, because you were promoted for the purpose of your consistency. Then when you get to the top level management, you know, it never stops. The higher you go, the more you're required to like move faster. So I don't think it makes sense that you can get to a point and relax. It's only going to go down. There are people, for example, that have gone viral and got 1 million views because they were consistent. But once they got there, they relaxed. Is the engagement? No. Is the work? No. You can be a top student, but once you're there, you need to keep up with that. If you relax, they're going to take you from there to there, and you're going to be the E2 that was once. You know, that you were once something. It's not nice.
In football, they have that thing of the player that watches his pass. That is to say, you're too impressed with yourself.
Yeah.
But then that pass was just for that moment. True. You need to move on to the next thing, you know. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us do not have something very early on that we find that we were good at. You know, you were an athlete, so discipline and consistency is something that is instilled in being an athlete. And when you grow up, and unfortunately,
those were tough days.
Yeah, but then they molded you. You know, you need to do hard things in life. You know, whatever that hard thing might be. It might be walking up a hill. It might be staying up the whole night. Does not matter. But you need hard things in life. You need to be able to accomplish small things and be okay with that. For me, the first thing that I accomplish in the morning is I make my bed. I just make my bed. Like,
it's the nicest thing.
It's the simplest thing to do. You know, just make your bed. That's the first thing that you accomplish.
And it's rejuvenating to make your bed, because you're not going to go back.
Yeah.
You don't want to ruin that.
Yeah.
There's an effort.
And the one thing that consistency does to you, it's like, it can be as simple as just making your bed every morning, is there is a relationship between your past, your present, and your future. Because yesterday you did your bed, today you did your bed, tomorrow you'll do your bed, which again ties into that need for an individual to have times for reflection and be alone. And when you do that consistently enough, again, you are building a relationship between your past, present, and future, where you are in this moment of reflection yesterday, you are here today, and you'll be there tomorrow. And what that gives you is that moment. You need that moment where you come down and you are here. You are in this moment, and you appreciate this moment. And when you appreciate this moment, it makes it much easier to appreciate the moment to come, and the one after that, and the one after that. And I think not a lot of us have an appreciation for that. And it comes down to finding something that you are good at. You need to find something that you are good at.
Absolutely.
And when I was growing up, there were so many people that were unfortunately blessed with they were blessed with something, but it was at the wrong time. And there are so many people now that I think if it wasn't for social media, their blessings would not be seen.
Yeah.
You know, their humor will not be seen. Their art will not be seen. Their consistency will not be seen. And I love that social media has given so many people, including yourself, the opportunity to be seen.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming here and
Thank
showing
you for
yourself.
having me. This really, like, I had so much fun in talking, of course, but like I also got to think of things that I forgot. Like it just made me grateful for my life and where I am right now. And I can tell myself, I'm like, I worked hard. I got to think of the things that I've done. Sometimes you think of, okay, I got this now, I did well, but it actually took me to do something else to get here. So appreciate it.
Thank you. So I think we can call it there.
Yay.
It's been a pleasure talking to you. And I hope I'll see you many more times on this podcast.
Yeah, should have me again. Am I the first female?
Yes.
Yes.
Before we end off, just for anyone who doesn't know you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, on TikTok, and you can Google me. Yeah, on TikTok and Instagram, my handle is grace._Mondlana, as well as TikTok.
And you're going to be graduating soon. I think it's Thursday, right?
Wednesday.
Yeah. So, people, you better be out there liking those pictures.
Of course.
Congratulations, guys.